scientific principles, methods, and techniques to matters aiding in the pursuit of truth in the criminal justice system, especially with regards to the collection, examination, and analysis of physical evidence. And whereas crime scene investigators, which are here with us, provide unbiased, accurate, and reliable analysis of evidence. These highly trained, educated, and experienced professionals exemplify the core values of our legal system. Whereas evidence technicians play a role in the preservation and proper storage of evidence, which dramatically improves the investigation of causes and future of cases and future prosecutions. Whereas the supporting Forensic Science Week, we honor the hard work, dedication, and diligence of all these who work in the field of forensic science across our nation and in the state of Florida, and specifically here in the city of Palm Bay. The hardworking people that compose our forensic science organizations deserve universal regard and appreciation for their commitment to proper scientific investigation for the cause of justice. And whereas inaugurated in 2013, Forensic Science Week offers such commendation. From Sunday, September 27th to Saturday, September 23rd, the City of Palm Bay Police Department's Crime Scene Unit and Evidence Unit, alongside laboratories across the United States of America, will be celebrating the 10th annual Forensic Science Week. To acknowledge the value of forensic science, research the role of crime scene investigators while informing the public of current capabilities and future challenges facing the field of forensic science. Now, therefore, I, Rob Medina, Mayor of the greatest city on the face of the earth, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim September 27th or September 17th through the 23rd, 2023, as National Forensic Science Week in the city of Palm Bay, and I call upon all the good people of our city to join me in expressing appreciation to the people, facilities, and technologies that make reliable forensic science possible in our community. In witness whereof I have set my hand, caused the seal of this city uh, to be affixed this 7th day of September, 2023. Miss Bridget, come on up.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for lending your ear briefly. I want to thank the mayor especially for announcing our proclamation, our chief and command staff for supporting us with this proclamation as a start to further pursuing advancements in technology and science as we elevate our practices and our investigations. So Forensic Science Week is not just a week about celebration, it's a week about forensic scientists as a whole getting together, having discussion forums, having discussions about advancements in technology. We recently are looking into forensic genealogy, for example. We also have a webinar that we're participating in that week with forensic science supervisors to further advance our standard operating procedures, as well as look forward towards accreditation in both forensic science and our evidence field. We would like to promote forensic science as a whole. And with that promotion, we're also going to be going out to our National Night Out in the beginning of October. So please come see us out with all of our various other extracurricular police fields. These facts that I present to you are a brief outlook of what we celebrate, but what I also want to promote is these ladies behind me as well. We have 8 women, 8 very, very intelligent and strong women in our forensic science field. 4 of those women include our evidence technicians, which range from 2 people with 30 years experience in the city of Palm Bay, someone with 10 years experience in evidence alone, and another individual that is looking forward to even becoming a crime scene technician herself. Our crime scene technicians are a little newer, but that's not to demote them whatsoever. One of our crime scene technicians on her own did 25 hours of hard labor on an investigation that led to an eventual conviction. And then we also had a crime scene technician that was basically solo at 2 months, but handled her own so strong. She's not here right now. She has kids. She has 4 of them to be exact. So a little bit of a handful, but she's an amazing person. And then we have an additional person that is currently with the Army doing her duties in the quartermaster field since the hurricane occurred, and she has to handle her stuff over that side right now. So I want to thank you so much for listening to my brief speech, and please clap with me in celebrating these phenomenal women that are here and not here.
So I'm the lieutenant over the division, Lieutenant Greg Leonard, and the mayor has asked me to say a couple words, which I can't say enough about these women in crime scene. They're amazing, professional, and the way that they manage the technicalities of these cases down to the finest detail is the difference between getting a conviction and not. So it's very important, the work that they do, and they a lot of times get unrecognized because they're doing all this work behind the scenes. So really appreciate everything that you do.
ALT. Let's stay down here because this next proclamation is something that's really near and dear to my heart. And I'm going to call up Mr. Wayne Price. Come on up, Mr. Price. This is National Suicide Prevention Month. Get up on the podium, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. Thank you, see you, sir. It is hereby proclaimed by the mayor of the greatest city on the face of the earth, Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, that whereas September is designated as National Suicide Prevention Month, as recognized by the National Association of Mental Illness, and whereas many health officials and community leaders locally, state, and nationally understand that mental illness is a significant issue of occurrence, of concern, particularly among our youth and our veterans. Whereas we realize that to address mental health issues requires more open and honest discussion about mental health. And whereas one major hurdle is removing the stigma attached to mental health treatment and discussion. And whereas individuals, businesses, organizations, public officials, and many other recognize the importance of emotional health. Now, therefore, I, Rob Medina, mayor of the greatest city on the face of the earth, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as National Suicide Prevention Month in the city of Palm Bay, and will encourage a positive effort to inspire those with mental health issues to seek the help of a family member, seek the help of a friend, colleague, or a licensed mental health professional to assist them in the times of need. The city of Palm Bay supports efforts on the Space Coast to provide education and resources for mental health problems. In witness hereof, I set my hand to cause the seal of the city of Palm Bay to be affixed this 7th day of September 2023. Congratulations, Mr. Price.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So I'm Wayne Price, and I'm with the Space Coast Health Foundation. And I'll make this quick, is that we all know suicide is a problem. And I think, to stop that, people have to know that there's somebody out there who cares. And tonight, this proclamation shows that Palm Bay cares, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, we are now on public comments.
Mr. Bill Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. On March 1st, my daughter went into a diabetic coma. On August 28th, at age 51, she gave up the battle. Yesterday, I attended her funeral. So as such, I could not attend a special council meeting. With great appreciation, Susan Conley, excuse me, I apologize, spoke for me. But me being the person that I am, I still want to address my government. So I'm going to repeat some of those statements. I got my proposed tax bill, 16 line items, 4 lowered, 3 stayed the same, and 2 raised the millage rate. Now you sit up there, pat yourselves on the back because you have a AA+ rating. You failed on your infrastructure. Thanks to the residents voting to bail you out with a $150 million Go Road bond, plus $9 million bond for the St. John's Heritage Parkway that is still not being completed. Without these actions, the city would have been in the red. The city has the responsibility to provide police, fire, and infrastructure. Yet, nearly 70% of the 1970s city limits don't have water and sewer. And you, with no planned mechanism to solve that problem. So quit bragging about your loan rating and show some appreciation towards the taxpayers by lowering the millage rate and concentrating on your charter mandated responsibilities. Not throwing parties at Parks and Rec because it's good for your facade image. At last night's vote, you voted to lower the millage rate from 7.5995 to 7.0178 would put you at the 3% cap. That is a step in the correct direction, but we are still not whole yet. So that does not let you off the hot seat yet. Thank you very much for your time. And Susan Conley, thank you very much for speaking for me.
Thank you, Master Chief, and please accept our prayers for peace and comfort for you and your family. We are truly sorry for your loss. Deputy Mayor?
Mr. Tamblin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sure you're tired of hearing from me. So last meeting, I handed out this map to everybody here. And recently I discovered that this dotted line around this map does not include the 13th, 14th, and 15th holes of the old golf course. I'm wondering, has she abandoned those properties to the city? And I guarantee you, I will do everything in my power to make sure all these property owners are protected by their 15-foot. I will go personally and hand out flyers telling them how to file a complaint. And hopefully you all get hundreds of complaints. It's ridiculous. The complaints for 3375 Bayside Lakes, there's only been like 20 in the last year. People go to file a complaint, says use map, and the map points you to your location, and you say continue. Well, those complaints are invalid. So 20 in the last year, 11 of them have been invalid. So people have not, we got to change that in the code compliance website. It's got to direct them to say, what is the property owner or address that you're complaining about? Not use this map and direct you at your address. Next, when is the next magistrate meeting, and will the agenda be publicized? There's nothing on the website now for the next magistrate meeting. The magistrate must meet once a month or more often as needed. There's lots of complaints out there. The magistrate, needs to meet. And lastly, as I've said many times, Palm Bay is the largest city in population and acreage in Brevard County. But yet, we don't have a golf course. We don't have a shopping mall. We don't have a downtown with nice restaurants. So when is that going to change? We need stuff other than residential development in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mr. Mark Moran.
Say that again. Sir.
Mark Moran.
Mark Moran. Okay. Thank you.
Pastor Ken Delgado.
Thank you. Ken Delgado, 154 Angelo Road, Palm Bay, Florida. First of all, thank you for recognizing the National Suicide Month. My brother took his life this year, and it's important for us to reach out to those who think that they have no hope and to have friends that they can reach out to. It's so important. Heart goes out to Bill Batten, his family that also lost. I'm here also to just share a little bit on what I think is important, which is the Word of God. And the Bible says in John 14:26, Jesus is speaking. He says, but the Helper or the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things, bring all things to remembrance. And then he says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. And the reality that in the fullest of sense, God understands the loss of life as much as he lost his only begotten son. He knows what it is to have to lose something that's valuable, that's important. And the Holy Spirit, who likewise understands because he participated in all of the gift of life through Jesus Christ in his death, burial, and resurrection. I just want to share with not just you all, but with the world, that there is a comforter, there's a helper, there's someone who's reaching out, who wants to heal hearts, restore brokenness, and bring wholeness and life back
Bless you.
to us who have lost loved ones to us that maybe are hurting. He is here. He does understand and is reaching out always to strengthen us, comfort us, and restore our brokenness, which certainly we can say in this world, that's what we need, is some restoration on brokenness. Also, I'd like to send my love to Randy Foster. We continue to pray for you, Councilman Foster, to say that may God continue to strengthen you, bring healing to your body, and restore you to full function. Hope to see you back soon. You are missed. We thank God for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mr. Robert Stice.
Good evening, Council. Robert Stice, 1796 Windbrook Drive, Southeast. In my opinion, LLC is moving to have the ability not to mow as per what's called undeveloped property. Personally, I'm surprised it took this long for them to pull this lever here. But as our leaders, and as previous comments that you made, you, sir, said that you remember 1988, Bayside Lakes was being built, and how proud you were of it. And I've chatted with each one of you. But this property is still zoned for 15-acre lots. This is a waiting game that this has turned into. Okay, you all know that placing over 307 homes in this area simply is going to obliterate Bayside Lakes. You're going to take an upper middle class neighborhood and just flatten it. Okay. It just galls me that we're pushing to greatly reduce the quality of life to almost 3,000 homes that continues to grow in this area. It's not about so many people playing golf. It's, that's part of it. The other part is it's the quality of life. I've been up here. I feel like it's been 3 years I've been talking about going to Publix or healthcare or the schools, not to mention the traffic and the kamikaze curve that Suzanne's worked quite hard to help minimize that danger on that. It's gotten crazy here. It also cements the bedroom community. You put another 300 homes in here, you're cementing that bedroom community. My question to all of you is, this is about your legacy. You were picking up the pieces here from the previous administration since I've been here going on 7 years. You've done a lot of good work. You have a great staff. Okay. What are you going to do with this? Can you be patient enough? Can you make that commitment to your residents and your constituents? How do you want to be remembered? Elections are coming up. I'm not threatening you, but sooner or later you're going to migrate out, right? How do you want to be remembered? You've got a lot. It's like you've got wet dough in your hand. L3 Harris is still coming in here. Is what I heard. They're going to want an area to have some recreation. We don't want some recreation. We don't want to go out of the city to golf or to play or to have a good meal or what have you. Okay, I'm asking you, you people of integrity, stay on integrity. Stay focused on this. Let's make sure that this property is developed for the benefit of all residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mr. Randall Olszewski.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Randall Olszewski. I live at 348 Brookhead Street, Northeast. First off, I'd like to say, how about them Seminoles? But I'd like to start off by addressing last evening's budget workshop because it was lightly attended. Mr. Bill Batten was here in spirit, and my thoughts are with you and your family too, sir. Through Miss Conley, I was here. There was a few others. There was a few viewers as far as online. But I hope that the community hones in and understands the context of that workshop, maybe goes back and watches it back. And I'll save you the diatribe. You can go back and watch me go on my diatribe on video. I won't do that this evening. But I think it's really important to double click, if you will, on Mr. Batten's statement that only 2 taxing authorities on this entire bill of 16 or so proposed to increase taxes, to propose to increase their millage rate. And that being the Sebastian Inlet District wants another few dollars, and the city of Palm Bay. And as we talked about last night, the city of Palm Bay advertised that they wanted to keep the millage rate at 7.5995, which was an increase in taxes of 3.6% just on that line item. But at the budget workshop, the city council voted to bring that rate downward to 7.0171. But all of the advertisements still say 7.5995. And now the community is still confused. And the community still feels like their taxes are going up because there's no transparency and there's no understanding into the process. And there used to be a valiant attempt at transparency into the process. And that was the Citizens Budget Advisory Board. And no less than 2 council meetings consecutive ago, did you, as the 3 sitting here and the one that graces us in the sky, vote down that board, remove that board, render that board moot. Now, there's an attempt, has been attempts in the past, to do an identical maneuver to the Recreation Advisory Board. And at this point, when it comes back up, as I'm sure it will, because I'm on it and I'm speaking against what your will, so it shall to dissolve. The Recreation Advisory Board has made a valiant attempt to put transparency into the process of understanding the campground project at Fred Poppy Park, which is on tonight's agenda. Now, most folks in the community have not heard about that project, think that project's dead. It's on tonight's agenda, unfinished and old business. There was 2 meetings of the Recreation Advisory Board where we were told that we were going to have thorough conversations and we were going to have dialogue and we were going to understand the project better. And that did not happen. And so now we're here tonight. I'll come up and I'll talk for my 180 seconds I'm granted on that public issue. But I'm highlighting to you and to my community and to my neighbors, the lack of transparency into the multiple processes within this city is what creates the optics problem that you all ran on to fight against. Transparency is clear. You guys are translucent at best right now. I can see figures and I can only see 3 and I'm supposed to see 5. I feel very underrepresented. Thank you.
Next speaker. Mr. Humberto Martinez.
Hi, good evening. I'm Humberto Martinez. I was here last night, you guys, on the thing of the property taxes and stuff. You guys were very helpful in directing me and the agencies to talk to. And when I finally did get to speak to someone at the county appraisal thing, they basically told me, well, there's not much we could do. They said as far as lowering the tax rate and the appraisal of the house, because they said they're going by the new market values of, because I moved in there, as I said, most of my neighbors were Bobcats aside from 3 other houses. And now it's like a full blossom neighborhood. There's a road where there used to be a dirt one. And so they said, well, we're taxing on the sales and values of that. And like I said, in 2021, I was taxed at 66% value of the house, then at 100% value. Now this year, 93%. And, it's still my taxes are. And, oh, by the way, thanks for you guys lowering one of your taxes down to 200. I was informed, but they told me I can go to a hearing to appeal it, but the guy said they're going to look at the same figures they looked at on the appeal, and I'm going to be, nothing that no one's going to be able to do, and I'll still be stuck with a $4,200 tax bill instead of a $4,400 tax bill. That's a little unsustainable. Like I said, for the mortgage and stuff, because with the insurance and the price of gas and, we're all feeling the whack in the economy. It's what other venue can you go? I mean, I have a proposal. How about, like I mentioned last night, how about taxing the good citizens of Palm Bay on the square footage of their house and do away with this assessment agency that assesses the values out of numbers that they pull out of the air, or they go, well, okay, well, houses are now selling for this. Your house was built in 2005, but we're going to value it at that, and we're going to tax you at 193 or whatever percent of the thing is. And even with the homestead, it doesn't help much. and with the other stuff. So is there a way to find a new way to tax the property taxes, or is there a legislation that could be brought up? Well, I'm just about running out of time here, but it's like I said, I don't want to be taxed out of my home and forced to sell my house and try to move somewhere else, either to another state or another county. Oh, that's it.
Thank you.
Miss Natalie Dewey.
Hi, my name's Natalie. I live at 1884 Winbrook Drive in Summerfield. I guess we're all just, you've heard so many stories and complaints about the golf course not being cut. I'm just really disappointed that we even are here at this point, because like a year and a half ago, when we were like just discussing increase in the lot sizes for her not to be able to sell to a builder that can build triple the amount of homes, that we were thinking would go on this golf course. So when that got shot down, we were kind of excited that maybe at some point she would either keep the course open or potentially sell it to another person that would want to keep it open as a golf course. So the whole Bayside Lakes community has really been in this up and down cycle for about a year and a half. And just when we get our hopes up that the law is in our direction or in our favor, that we're going to have, the course is closed now. So we're all under the assumption that at least she was going to maintain the property to a certain extent. I completely understand she's, paying taxes. She might still owe a mortgage on this property. So we don't, me as a homeowner, I don't want to be putting out money unless it's necessary. So I side with Heather a little bit, but also I feel like the city has let us all down in regards to not being maybe upfront with us as to like her what she was going to be able to do with this property, because now we're basically where she's not going to cut this at all or maintain the property, and anybody that's trying to sell their house in Bayside Lakes, some of the people that I know are having a difficult time because of this golf course, the condition of it. So our properties have gone down since she has closed the property and not maintained it. And it's just becoming a very big eyesore in this area. So I think it's going to be, in the long run, I think it's going to be a deterrent where there might be people that are moving here now, but after a couple of years of seeing that in the condition that it's in, they're going to feel like they need to move out, like people are starting to do now. So that's it.
Thank you.
Mr. Nathan White.
Nathan White, 1301 Seabury Street Southwest. With regards to the Citizen Budget Advisory Board that was dissolved by this council just recently, as stated by multiple councilmen, because of the misinformation
Can you speak into the mic?
misinformation / movement / petition of certain members or member of the board, which was me. I had a question about the misinformation label that members of council gave to my my rhetoric and my petition. Specifically, what? A quote, please. Any direct quote of mine that you could give as an example of misinformation. The only things I can think of that you could even claim would simply be subjective statements, matters of opinion. Like if I were to say that something is out of control, well, that could be a matter of opinion. But if I said, you know, we're going to go bankrupt in November, well, that's a very firm statement. That's either correct or incorrect. So an example will be appreciated since you dissolved an entire advisory board because of my petition calling it misinformation. Also, a question that I was hoping to get an answer from you via the city attorney. As my petition does, the amendment that my petition is for does specifically reference the Citizen Budget Advisory Board, it would mandate that they do a review of council's decision and reasoning to violate the limit that it proposes. It would not give them the ability to stop it, but only review it to increase public information and participation, discussion. But as it is referenced in the amendment and now no longer exists, I was hoping to get city attorney's input on whether or not the amendment is still legally feasible or viable since that board no longer exists. Just wanted to get an affirmative or a firm legal opinion on whether or not the council's decision did in fact nullify my petition and the several hundred signatures that it had gotten so far. And lastly, because I spoke faster than I thought I would, the proposed budget, the one that the version that was released in, I believe it was early August, it mentions on page 5, current year gross taxable values for operating purposes, including new construction. New construction is something that's not included in the 3% cap, we all remember. Totals $7.9 billion, an increase of 20%. And taxable values from new construction alone, which is not limited by the cap, increased by 61% from the prior fiscal year. Why did we not roll back the rate?
Thank you. Madam Attorney, is there a response that you can provide regarding his question about the petition?
Yes, sir. If the petition succeeds and is made a part of the charter will require the board for that specific purpose. It doesn't bring it back to it's how it was in the ordinance. But if the council were to do anything that triggered that board would have to assemble and do what is required by the charter.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, Deputy Mayor.
Julian Presley.
Thank you very much for giving me this time. We'd like to apply for the tiny home, $10,000 tiny home project. We've been trying ourselves to find it and figure it out, but we need help. We'd like to apply for that.
Madam Sherman, can you provide some information?
I'm actually not too familiar with what's being referenced, but I can have you talk to a member of staff who can help you with that.
Okay. Thank you
so
very
maybe-
much.
Yeah.
Next speaker.
Chris Hendel.
Hi, I'm Chris Hendel. I live at 2855 Morris Avenue Northeast. My father owns the property. I've been living there for 4.5 years. We were on the schedule to be repaved, and all of a sudden, I seen the people down there working on Orange Blossom Trail. I stopped and talked to them, and they said, "Oh, your road's been taken off of the list." And I think my father also sent you a email about our road. So, you know, they removed the road from the list, but then this company's buying $1 million equipment to restabilize Orange Blossom Trail and raise Orange Blossom Trail up. And they still don't want to pave a 1/4 mile road. I mean, it doesn't make sense. They said it was that the city council took it off of the list because it was unimproved. Half of the roads that have been done in Palm Bay that have been repaved did not need to be repaved. There was nothing wrong with them. So I'm asking for it to be put on the list, to put back on the list to be repaved. It has asphalt millings right now that was done. There's no maintenance that is ever done on our road. Us as the people who live on our road have to go cut the trees back off of the road just so we can drive without scratching our vehicles. So, and you know, it doesn't matter who you call to in the city of Palm Bay, they just send you to another office. And if they send you to another office, then that office never responds and gives you an answer. So please put Morris Avenue back on the list to be paved. That's all I'm asking.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, can we have staff look into that?
Yes, sir. I'll
We really
definitely-
need to.
I noted it. We'll check it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Miss Ruth Conhol.
Miss Ruth, you can bring that lectern down. There's a button that could. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Ruth Koffel, 935 Douglas Street, Director of Brevard Citizens Defending Freedom. Good evening, council members and staff and citizens of Palm Bay. September is Founders Month, and Constitution Day week and day are held within that as well. Councilman Foster, I really sincerely hope that you get better with all your health issues. However, it is a concern that your responsibilities to this dais are not being fulfilled. It is you took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Florida, and the Charter of Palm Bay. Councilman Foster's negligence to step down from the council is a complete slap in the face to those documents. Supposedly, you took that oath. You took that oath many times as a veteran, and you took it again for this council. This refusal and negligent and immoral inaction is a disservice to the Palm Bay citizens and a violation of the Palm Bay Charter, as I have read it many times. My suggestion for Councilman Foster is to step down and focus on his health. If not, Councilman Foster is not doing a very good service and not representing the citizens of Palm Bay. On a second note, it should be the council itself that enforce the charter and remove Councilman Foster from the council due to the healthcare issues and what it states in the charter. And the dissolution of the advisory board is just another example of how Palm Bay citizens are not being served, and that the citizens' voices are not being heard and or listened to. This is many, many times I've stood up here and said, you cannot silence us. We are the people who you're supposed to represent, and that's not happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
This concludes the public comments.
Okay, so I wanted to police one comment that was made. So just allow me to touch on this. The tax notifications went out at 7.595. That would have exceeded the 3% cap. In order for the council to exceed the 3% cap, there's got to be a supermajority vote on that. We don't have a supermajority vote, but the council here decided to set it at the 7.595 solely because if there would have been a catastrophe between the times we set the rolls, which would have been yesterday, and if something would have happened, we were bound by the 3% cap at that time. So this council voted this yesterday to set the tax rate at the 7.0017, if I remember correctly, reducing it. But there was never an intention of this council to go above the 3% cap. So I just wanted to conclude with my public comments on that note, because many comments were made. Does anyone else want to weigh in? Thank you. We're now on new business item number 1. Ms. Sherman, you go ahead and present this, or have.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the first of 3 co-sponsorship requests that's on the agenda tonight. This one is for the family Christmas extravaganza. I believe that the representatives of the event are here. So if you'd like to bring them up first to talk about the events, we can certainly do that.
Outstanding. Oh, they're going to play a video, I see. They got one queued up.
Can watch the video.
There's no sound? Oh, there we go.
It's Christmas time. Listen, I just want to first say thank you for giving us this opportunity to present the Christmas extravaganza, not just to you all as our leaders, but also to all of Palm Bay and abroad, even all the way up to Kissimmee, north, I don't know how far, south to Vero, and so forth and so on, to the greatest Christmas party in all of Brevard County, the Space Coast. Listen, we started probably about 15 years ago in the backyard of our church, and making our own little games and throwing candy out. And now we have multiple churches all joined together, and dozens and dozens and more dozens of businessmen and businesswomen who want to say thank you to the Brevardians for being at their places. And so they give back to the community in this great festivity called the Christmas extravaganza. Should you approve it today, I would thank you ever so much, because today is my 49th anniversary, and it would be a great Christmas present in September if you were to do that today. But nonetheless, we want to say, please consider the fact that we are serving people, and it's FREE, free. Now, we want to also thank the previous Mayor Capote for inviting us back to Palm Bay, as we are a Palm Bay church. But ever since Reverend Robert Medina, who now is the mayor, took over, this thing has exploded to where over 25,000 people come. Do I sound excited? I'm excited because it's Christmas time, and I just want to pass it over here to one of our great helpers. Wow. Praise the Lord, who helps lead this forward. Share a little bit.
Well, as some of you may have attended or may have not attended, this actually is the greatest party on the Space Coast. It is the largest party on the Space Coast, and we absolutely love it. We've been doing it for 15 years, and you have to have a heart and a compassion for people that have a love to minister to the gospel, not just the gospel, but giving just giving of the day, giving away of the day. And a lot of the businesses and companies that come together, they actually come together to be able to give away Christmas to families that cannot receive or that just cannot give their families Christmas gift. We had multiple people say to us at the time of the event or even afterwards that this was the only Christmas that they could give to their children. So by other companies, by the city of Palm Bay, by other businesses coming together to partner together to help make this a completely free event to the community, we're able to bless families and we're able to give Christmas to families that may not be able to provide it for themselves.
Amen.
What does that look like? What when you say free, what is that? What's free?
So every single thing is 100% free. You only have to have gas in your car to be able to get to the field. But everything, cotton candy, hot dogs, waters, bounce houses, pony rides. We got petting zoo. This year we're going to have cars. We have bounce houses, the rock wall, face painting, live entertainment,
and gifts,
and gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts.
And
All day
bicycles too, huh?
Huh?
Do you give away bicycles too?
We give away, yes. Last year we had, what was it, 140 bikes? Yeah, 140 bikes that we gave away last year.
Oh, 140 bikes.
That were given away throughout the community, and kids, just the excitement on their face of being able to walk off the field with a bicycle and a helmet was wonderful.
We also want to thank the City of Palm Bay for previous support, as well as the department and the fire department and the Parks and Recreation Department that have been so helpful to making it possible. We thank you for the previous support. We do also invite the current new businesses here in Palm Bay to consider supporting this event and give back to the community, because after all, it's FREE.
Free.
You got it. Any questions, Council? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, any public comments?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Bill Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. There's no doubt this is a great function. We're not disputing that one little bit. I always have a hard time, though, when you want to use the taxpayers' money for a private organization or a private function. And as you know, I always speak out against this. I'm not faulting them at all, but I have to stay true to my trying to balance the city's budget. $6.5 thousand, or out of that $6,000 or $6.5 thousand, $2,355 of that comes for the wages for the police and fire and parks representatives. That's an actual budget out of that we have to budget in to pay for those employees to do this. And so I have to stay true and challenge the fact. That being said, can anybody tell me what we currently take out of our budget for recreation? I'm not going to say parks and facilities. Those are capital investments. I'm going to say recreation. What is the budget amount that we are charging the taxpayers for recreation line item only? I couldn't find that. I know there's a breakdown on it, but I couldn't find it. I've seen it before, but I couldn't find that. What that is, because I'm going to use that in calculations as I proceed on the next two items that are on the agenda tonight, to be tallied into what the total expense of these parties that you sponsor to the off the taxpayers, right? Because we just got through going through our budget. We did lower it to the 3% cap, but these are mechanisms that could help you take it below the 3% cap by not using taxpayer dollars to pay for private parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Item, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Madam Sherman, would you address the question?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to get more detail from Mr. Batten, so I'll have one of the staff members talk to him. I don't know exactly what line items he's looking for us to put together to give him a number, but we can do that for you.
Thank you, ma'am. So first of all, I just wanted to yield the time at this proper time to our city attorney. As usual, I will be abstaining from this vote, gentlemen, because I am passionate about this, but I am also a minister that has overseen this for many years, and I continue to serve my church. So, Madam Attorney?
Yes, Mayor. For give background to others, in 2021, the mayor, on behalf of the mayor, I contacted the Commission on Ethics regarding whether the mayor voting for co-sponsorship for the annual Christmas extravaganza hosted by the House Church of Palm Bay constituted a voting conflict since he serves as an unpaid minister for the House. Voting conflicts are governed by Section 286.0112 Florida statute. We were essentially, the statute provides that council members have to vote unless there is a conflict or a possible conflict. And the relevant statute here is 112.13, which is conflicted employment or contractual relationships. Although it is unpaid, there is a contractual relationship includes mutual agreements, arrangements, or agreements, and the lack of compensation is not controlling. Consequently, we were advised that the mayor should disclose the relationship, which he has done, abstain from voting, and file voting form 8B as required by law. In according to the Code of Ethics, the mayor has heeded this advice and continues to abstain from voting.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. So at this time, gentlemen, I'll need a motion, but I will not be, I'll be abstaining from the vote. Let the record reflect that I've abstained from the vote.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Councilman Johnson.
I do have the same concerns as Mr. Batten. I've shared it because these are tax dollars we're using for nonprofit events. So I just want us to be mindful moving forward because there's going to be more nonprofits applying for these opportunities, and that's just the nature of the beast. But I do support this project as well as several others that we will see, Mayor. So I'll be supporting this.
Deputy Mayor.
Mayor, thank you so much. As well as you, Mayor, a big fan of this event. I truly believe, as you always allude to, there is a, you can't put a price. You can't put a price. What would it cost to bring such value to our community? It's a great event. The message and the draw to our community, 25,000. I don't know of an event that even come close. And the quality, what it means to our community, we can't put a price on that. $12,000. I'm totally okay with us supporting this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a wonderful event, and it shows the goodness and great Christmas spirit that this world needs. And like Pastor Delgado says, FRE, what's that? FRE, free. And everybody in Palm Bay can come to it. There's no limitations who cannot come. It's free. It's free. And every residence shows where their tax dollars is going to. Something that's going to uplift the community and people's spirits. And yeah, unfortunately, it's sad, but during the holidays, we just recognize National Suicide Month, and during the holidays, suicide goes up, robbery goes up. This bringing a positive atmosphere and mindset to the people of Palm Bay. I support it. I will always support it. You can't put a price on Christmas. Thank you, man.
Thank you. I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 3-0 with the mayor abstaining. Item number 2, Ms. Sherman. New business item number 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is the second co-sponsorship request you'll consider tonight. This is for the Viva Brevard Festival that's held at Fred Poppy Regional Park. I believe the applicant is here to present about the item.
Oh, and congratulations and happy anniversary, Pastor Ken and Pastor Betsy Delgado. Outstanding job, 49 years. You guys must have gotten married at 15 or 10. You guys look so young. Carry on, sir.
Yes, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Viva Brevar Festival. That's a great event where we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. And also that festival is a fundraiser to help the Brevar Hispanic Center, which is an organization from here, from Palm Bay, that's been here. Actually, this year is going to be our 10th anniversary of the Brevar Hispanic Center. And it's a public charity. It's not a private organization. It is a public charity that helps individuals and families in areas of education, health, family issues, immigration,
Javier,
economic
you can
empowerment.
step back a little bit because it's picking up really loud and it's becoming incoherent.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
So the Brevar Hispanic Center is an organization that helps individuals and families in areas of education, health,
Look at
family issues, immigration, and economic empowerment. At the Brevar Hispanic Center, we have the English Language Integration Program, which is a program where we help people that went to school in other countries. We raise the level of English so they can work in the United States in what they went to school for. You don't want to see doctors, engineers working, cleaning dishes or working in areas that are different from what they should be doing. For example, working in clinics and hospitals. We also have the De La Cruz Volunteer Clinic. That's a free clinic where we help people that don't have medical insurance. If you don't have medical insurance, you can go to the Brevar Hispanic Center and you're going to be seen for free, right? And that helps our community because we prevent individuals from going to the emergency rooms when they can go to the clinics, and we take care of them. So it's a great event. It's a lot of fun, a lot of music, a lot of food, but we also supporting a great cause. We also work with the different shelters, with the different police departments in our community, helping abused women. Women that bring from other countries, slave them, abuse them. At the Brevar Hispanic Center, we work with all community. We help to help those victims. So this is a great organization and this is a great event. And we need to continue doing. This is an organization from Palm Bay. And I would like to ask you for your support in this 2023 Viva Brevar Festival.
Thank you. Thank you. Public speakers?
Mr. Bill Batten.
Thank you, Javier.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. A line item correction in the previous comments about the family Christmas extravaganza. I said 6,000. Was actually 11,000, with 5,000 of that going towards wages. Now on to the Viva Brevard Festival. Their actual, what they're requesting is $6.5 thousand. Of that $6.5 thousand, $2,355 of that comes from wages. That would be the police and fire. And they say, well, they're working anyhow. Well, we already know that the police department is already stressed and they have people on patrol. So we either have to take them off of patrol to fill these positions, or we have to pay them overtime, which comes out of that department's budget. These are some of the things that I try to address. I'm not saying these functions are good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just trying to be a responsible citizen with taxpayer dollar. That's what I'm trying to do. The line item that comes out of our general budget was just passed, voted on for the first vote last night. Line item in that, they were able to present me with that information tonight, was $6.2 million comes out of the city's budget for recreation. That is the line item for recreation. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to focus in on what it comes out of our total budget, trying to make the city be responsible, and that's what I'm trying to do. They are good functions, the people have a great time, and if they're also assisting in aid to people, that's also a great thing. I'm just trying to make the city be responsible with my tax dollar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
This concludes public.
Okay. Well, council, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Councilman Johnson? Deputy Mayor? Councilman Foster, any comments?
No, no comment.
Okay, I'm calling the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. We are now on new business item number 3. Madam Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the third and final co-sponsorship of the night. This is from a request from the West Indian Caribbean Culture and Sports, Inc. for Family Fun Days events that will be held on the first Sunday of every month in the next fiscal year. And the applicant is here to present.
Okay.
Yes. Good night to Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, and staff. This is Alfie Agari from ICCS 4371 Dixie Highway, Northeast Palm Bay. We are here the second time to apply for this co-sponsorship. And to me, it's a very good event for the community because I must say they have a eligibility that says you must be free and open to the general public. You must be serving free and publicly to the general public. The second item was it must be planned and conducted by a non-profit organization. That's what we are. That's the eligibility right here. And then the other section that says the co-sponsor goal is to enhance the quality of life and well-being of some or all our residents in our community. They have 5 items on this listing, and the ICCS actually fits 3 of the items. The other one is advance the city community and parade being a multicultural community. Promote culture and athletically awareness within the city. So these are like 3 items out of 5 that under the whatever the co-sponsor goal should have been. And we had, come into that. So I think we have been doing a great job as a community event, trying to promote the culture of our diversity in our city, and looking forward to keep this thing going. And let's hope one day we're going to be as big as Christmas extravaganza, because that's my goal, to give back to the community. And I look forward to do this. And I appreciate your help and assistance in giving us the privilege and the gift of this great gift. And we'll be there to promote it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mr. Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. One more time, great functions. He was conducting these gatherings for the West Indian Caribbean Cultural Organization long before he started asking for assistance from the city of Palm Bay, and he was doing it at the beach, paid for out of his own pocket. So I'm not faulting what the function is. One more time, I'm just challenging, trying to keep the city responsible on our budget. And when you benefit few, that's part of it. They're only requesting $2,745. Out of that, $0 is going to be spent on wages. So none. They aren't asking for anything that's going to come out of the general fund budget. They're just asking for the services. That still being said, it's every month. And I thought we had in our ordinance someplace where you only once a year where you were allowed to ask or qualify for it. I'm not sure on how that works. I wasn't sure. But either way, the function is good. And I like how you worked out where it was going to be. You really worked with trying to solve some other problems with this. And I'm all in favor of that. I'm just trying to keep us responsible on the budget. So like I said, the $2.6 million line item that comes out of our budget for recreation, they're asking for you to automatically just give in this 3 cases for just tonight's meeting, $20,000 out of that tax dollar money you just asked for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
No, sir.
Okay, council, I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any discussion?
Just if Mr. Sherman wanted to speak to Mr. Batten's question regarding, because I know what he's referring to.
Yeah. So our policy allows for a single event or a series of events, and that is where Mr. Aguirre's project or program falls under the series of events category.
That's it. I'm good. Yes,
Mayor,
sir.
if I may, I think something must be said about this event. This particular event is different, and Mr. Batten mentioned it, because this is not taking any of our resources in terms of manpower. This is just our facility, access to our facilities. If they're not being used by this organization, they stayed empty. Why do we have, is a logic, you see the logic to this? This facility is there. The purpose of it is taxpayers' dollar for the enjoyment of our community. This is a vibrant community that contribute a lot to our community. So this is, to me, I think this is what we do as a community. People look to move to Palm Bay for those very reasons, because we have a lot to offer. And part of what we have to offer is that find a way to make it enhance the quality of life of our community, of our citizens. And I'm all for it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Councilman Foster, any comments?
No comments. I stand by the words of the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear you, Councilman Foster.
Aye.
That's 4-0. Passes 4-0. We are now on public hearings number 1. Ms. Smith.
Ordinance 2023-05, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 183, Comprehensive Plan Regulations, Section 183.01, Comprehensive Plan, Subsection D, Adoption of Future Land Use Map, by amending the Future Land Use Map, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask the applicant to present their case.
Thank you. Jake Wise, civil engineer for the project. And we have with us James Stix, who is the developer for the project here as well tonight. This is a second reading. It's just been a little while since it's come back to you. So I'll just run through a few of the highlights. And then we did have 3 conditions that were newly added for the second reading that we worked with staff on modifying the language of them. So we just wanted to see if someone on staff could explain those 3 relatively minor changes to the wording. But as I said, this is second reading, and we've been working diligently for months with the city staff. We've been working with other surrounding developers. We've been working with really the whole region to not only extend utilities, but extend the parkway, all the things that we've talked about before. We're working on specific sites for water tanks and things like that, getting down to the nitty-gritty details. So we're pretty excited about it. Just as a reminder, this site is 1,435 acres, so it's a very big project, a big undertaking. Very exciting. It includes a 30-acre school board site. It has fire station and police station. It's got a town center, and this is only the first really major milestone step for the project. We'll be back before you with a lot more details. We'll be back before you with our preliminary final development plans, developers agreement ultimately. So you'll see a lot more from us and a lot more detail from us coming down in the future here soon. the site development master plan also has a lot of interconnectivity. To the north of us are hundreds and hundreds of acres of eels property that will stay in perpetuity and conservation. To the south of us, the St. Sebastian preserves thousands of acres. And we're sitting right in the middle between them, and we're able to work with them and have interconnectivity. We're doing something that we've heard this council ask for many times over. We're doing much larger lots. We're looking at a public trailhead that would allow for horseback riders as well. The project right now is proposing has over 90 acres of green space and recreation. It's over 90 acres. So it's a pretty substantial commitment and improvement for the public as well. I heard one of the speakers earlier tonight asking about a town center, a place to go, a downtown, restaurants, things like that. That's what this project is creating as part of it. With respect to your vote tonight, though, we're asking for just the second reading on the future land use. There's 8 criteria, as you saw previously when you voted for approval. Staff has identified that we're in agreement with those. Planning and Zoning Board unanimously recommended approval as well. So with that being said, we appreciate a chance to respond to any comments, answer any questions you may have, and that if we could just clear up those 3 comments that we asked for the language to be changed a little bit, that would be great.
The recreation area that you mentioned, those acres, any consideration for like baseball and football fields, or is that what we're talking about here?
Well, we're talking to the school board about working in conjunction with them for those types of fields. Our other recreations are more. We do have a couple of big, good-sized parks that would be open to the public. We do have some private amenities that would be within some of the gated subdivisions. The trailhead that would be for the public as well. So yeah, all of that's being collaborated. We have interconnectivity with linear parks and trails as well throughout the project.
I'm just saying baseball fields.
Baseball?
Really
we haven't gotten
important. You're going to have all these families out there as well. I'm just saying. And then,
we get pickleball a lot. we
baseball, football, we're, big sports fans. But another question is the faith-based community in that master plan. And I know that I shared this previously when it comes to master plans and the faith-based component to it. We could all learn from Viera, from that company, how they did the master plan. You had synagogues, you had other faith-based churches, different denominations. Is that being considered?
Okay. Yes, that's absolutely being considered. We've heard that from council many times over, and that's part of it. We'll be coming back to you with that higher level of detail next. But yes, that's been all part of it. But we haven't picked out like what sports fields and things like that either yet.
Okay.
And just to
Carry
answer,
on,
Mr. Mayor, your questions about the sports field baseball. So my son graduated last year from UCF, but we spent the 8 years prior to that in travel ball. So pretty much every project that we do includes multi-purpose sports fields. And we usually will wait to work with the school where they may have an opportunity to utilize that as well. But absolutely baseball, lacrosse, multi-purpose. And then we have some big parks that we're planning on more of a gathering place for, the city, not just the community.
Copy that.
And as far as, and Bill, the chief will probably come up and speak next, but to combat that, probably 3 or 4 months ago, and he probably doesn't know this, but we took some of his words to heart. And because you can actually ride equestrian in those different trailheads, we created the Bill Batten Trail Park trailhead.
Wow.
But that gets better than that. In addition to that, it will be specifically designed to accommodate 40-foot trailers for equestrian that you can pull in and out. So didn't do that because I knew you were going to speak, but we actually did take that because there is a great opportunity there if you're an equestrian enthusiast. And we'll have the ability to do that both on the north side of the road and on the south side of the road.
Well, those are great comments. Thank you. Any additional questions, gentlemen? Deputy Mayor? Councilman Foster, any questions?
No, man.
All right, thank you. Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Master Chief, did you want to come on up? What an honor, Master Chief.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. And as you know, I do go through my agenda packets in detail. When I was going through this, I saw that trailhead. First, I saw trailhead sitting up on the plan. And then I followed it up off of Miko Road. And I followed it in under parentheses. It said Bill Batten. Even though they did misspell my name, that's okay. I appreciate the offer. And that meant somebody was listening. But there was more to it than just a trailhead. And I also appreciate the fact that they made it, and I'll like to speak to them if possible, about the accessing into the Eels land and then into the St. Sebastian Preserve, because I was just curious how that's all going to work, because other developments like Emerald Lakes are also trying to accomplish the same objective. So I'm very, very pleased to see that. But the trailhead and the stuff going around it, that was great. And the turnaround, like you said, is a drive-through trailer. If you have horses, for people that know that, it's hard backing around. You have to have the ability, and they designed this so that you can actually drive in, drive your trailer out, and drive straight out, offload your horses, and get onto the trailhead, and then it goes around their facility. Beautiful job. I want to compliment them on that. But it's even better than the trailhead. Along with it, because I always challenge about rural residential property. Along with that, they've also designated property that's from 1 to 3 acre sites for single family residents that coincide with it. One more time, bravo Zulu, job well done, you guys. Right? And then I also saw that they had a dedicated site in the recreation sites of a stable. So for those of the people who don't want to have a horse, they might have the capabilities of even the residents boarding horses there. They went, by my standard, a step above and beyond for what people were requesting to have some kind of entertainment. And I promise you, the executives that are trying to come into this area, these are some of the high-end things that they were going to need in order to make them want to stay in Palm Bay. I went to the dentist last week, talking with my dentist. They were talking, and I said, she says, I'm looking for a place like this. I said, pay attention to tonight's city council. A new development is giving their proposal. They've got 1 to 3 acre sites, exactly what she's looking for in this area, and it's coming. And they said they didn't know anything about it, but they're very happy to see it. And so am I, right? And I'd like to find out eventually. I tried calling them, and I didn't get any call back, but that's okay, because I wanted to see how we're getting in from the trailheads on both the north and the south side into these preserves, because they're good job. That's all I can say. Great, and thank you guys.
Thank you. Next speaker. That's it. That's it. Madam Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. What was referenced were some minor changes that the applicant requested to the staff report and some of the conditions. So I'll have Jesse Anderson come up and when you're ready and cover that with you.
Dr. J.
Good evening, Jesse Anderson, Acting Growth Management Director. Just for clarification, Patricia, did you have specific wording already for the 2 traffics written down, or shall we go from what we discussed earlier today?
No, what we discussed earlier, that's the language.
Do I need to read exactly to them, or can I paraphrase it right now? Is my question, I guess I should say.
Being that they're going, this is the last time, I read it exactly, because that's what the clerk is going to incorporate into this ordinance that will be signed.
Just wanted to make sure. Hold on one second for me. So just in context of what the changes were that have been requested, one of the levels of service analysis that came forward was for traffic impacts. It does require 4-laning the Miko Road area as well as the Babcock Road area. However, that is as a level of service. So part of the DEO, that is the State Department, part of their analysis, we have to provide a level of service to demonstrate that we have the capacity to fulfill this sort of development and its fruition in its totality as well. With that, currently the only roads that go to that area are Babcock to Miko. We are expecting, of course, in the future to have the St. John's Heritage Parkway, but because that is not established yet, we do not get to count that in during our level of service analysis, because again, we have to provide the level of service that we currently can operate on. So with that, the condition that they would like to see amended slightly and staff is in support of is that it's going to say, and I'm going to give you the wording 1 second, but it's going to state that it's in caveat to the St. John's Heritage Parkway coming to fruition. That way there can be another traffic impact analysis that you'll see later on. If that were to come to fruition, that will show the different impacts of the site area rather than all of that traffic going only down Micco into the Babcock area and going north. And then the other slight change, so that's 2 of them because there's a 2-part to that portion. The other change that they are looking for tonight would be for the manner in which the parks are phrased. It says that all parks are to be open to the public accessibility. And the caveat to that is it's going to be the parks specifically, not the amenity centers that would be within inside the subdivisions, particularly as those are going to be more of the HOA and subdivision oriented amenities rather than the holistic amenities for the actual master plan. So that's just a caveat to that. It's going to be the specific parks, which again fulfills our level of service for parks for that overall analysis for DEO. All right, so currently the transportation level of service analysis requirements say Micco Road improvements from the project site to Babcock Street will need to be improved to 4 lanes. Pending improvements to other rights of ways providing direct access to the project site. If improvements to other rights of ways providing direct access to the project site occur prior to a development, a traffic impact analysis shall be required to determine any required improvements specific to this development through the planned development zoning district application. Similarly, for number 2, Babcock Street improvements, it would be from Micco Road to St. John's Heritage Parkway will need to be improved to 4 lanes pending improvements to other rights of way, providing direct access to the project site. If improvements to other rights of way, providing direct access to the project site occur prior to development, a traffic impact analysis shall be required to determine any required improvements specific to this development through the planned development zoning district application process.
Thank you.
And then do we need to go over a change specifically for the parks one, Patricia, in your opinion? Because as we discussed before, we didn't necessarily include. So just for distinguishment, we do not include the amenity center within inside of our definition of parks. Because they are amenities themselves for those specific developments, the sub-developments that are going to be part of this actual plan themselves. Whereas the park parcels that will be specifically separated from the rest of the development that will be identified as parks as part of their conceptual plan, that place type will be open to the public. So that's the differentiation.
Okay, well, I think we mentioned it.
Yes.
Or do you need additional detail to mention that?
No, that's what I was clarifying.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wise?
Thank you. Yes, that was the language clarification. We just wanted to make sure that council understood. So appreciate that very much, working again with staff so well. After hearing about Mr. Batten's daughter, we thought we might be able to change the name. And I'll make sure I get the spelling right on his daughter's name. And you do have a voicemail for me on your phone. Other than that, we'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
So yeah, to respond to Master Chief's question regarding how that all is going to work out the access. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much. The current owners of the property who we're working with very closely, they have an agreement with the St. Sebastian Preserve on how they're going to interconnect the properties. There's actually a canal with a little slice of their land on that side. So they've already coordinated that and worked through that. And then we have, we're also the engineer for Emerald Lakes, which Mr. Batten mentioned. We have met with the Eels at their office and have already been coordinating the interconnectivity with them, and they are open to that. That project also provided lands that the Eels department currently owns as well. So yeah, we've had all those conversations and meetings already.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions, Council? Councilman Forster, any questions?
No, Mayor.
And no additional speakers? Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, I'm closing the public hearing. Asking for a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-05 to include staff's comments.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. We are now on public hearing number 2.
Ordinance,
Smith, as you were.
sorry, Mayor. Ordinance 2023-68. An ordinance of the city of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, vacating and abandoning a portion of the 6-foot public utility and drainage easement located within Lot 5, Block 674, Port Malabar Unit 15, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 15, page 75, of the public records of Brevard County, Florida, and legally described herein, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm opening the public hearing as the applicant.
David Daniels, 1200 Segola Street, Southeast. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Again, I'm here the second time to ask to vacate 4 foot of the 6 foot easement beside my driveway so it can be extended to gain access to my back gate. With all the building going up, it's just, I'm not going to have access to my gate from the other side because they're going to clear that lot and build there. And it's just, I told you last month, I'm on the outside corner. So my frontage is only 59 feet. My driveway only gives me a little ledge. If I can make the driveway wider, my trailer going into my backyard won't sag and run into the neighbors, drift into the neighbor's side. It just make it so much easier to access my backyard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing and asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. Madam Smith?
The following items are quasi-judicial in nature. Public hearings, agenda items, numbers 3, 4, and 5. Any person who has to testify on such a matter must sign a speaker card which contains a sworn oath to tell the truth. Any individual addressing the council must state his or her name and confirm that a speaker card has been signed. Attorneys who are appearing on behalf of a party and not providing testimonial evidence are not considered witnesses and need not be sworn. Counsel should disclose any ex parte communication by disclosing the subject matter of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place. The order of this proceeding will be as follows. First, the applicant will make his presentation, followed by staff comments, followed by any aggrieved or adversely affected party, and each will have a maximum of 30 minutes. Any speaker may be subject to cross-examination by the council or any other interested party. Any other person may speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. The applicant will then be allowed concluding remarks for a maximum of 10 minutes. Quasi-judicial body may modify the time limits on its own motion or upon request of a party to the proceeding. The hearing will then be closed and no additional testimony or argument will be allowed. The council will then deliberate in public. At the end of deliberation, the council member will make a motion on the application to bring the matter to a vote. Every council member is then free to vote in favor or against the motion. Ordinance 2023-76, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Palm Bay by changing the zoning of property from IU, Institutional Use District, to RC, Restricted Commercial District. This property is located south of and adjacent to Malabar Road in the vicinity west of Greenacre Drive and legally described herein, providing for a change of the zoning map, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask the applicant to present their case.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, city staff. My name is John Newton. I'm the project developer and project manager for this new idea that we have for this long-term institutional site that's on Malabar Road. As you know, we've been here since starting in June. We had a public meeting out of council with the local citizens about the property being rezoned from institutional to restricted commercial use. And we discussed the purpose of that rezoning. The purpose of it is to bring a thrifty specialty produce grocery store here, and in a multi-tenant scenario where there'd be probably 2 to 3 other tenants in the space. totaling 8,000 square feet for those folks. We gathered a list of a lot of public ideas and comments from the 500 people, the 500-foot radius around it. We've addressed just about every one of those in our design, and in the previous couple of weeks, we've had 2 more meetings. We actually had the planning and zoning meeting on August 2nd, where there was a unanimous approval by the board. And then our first public hearing about this rezoning was August 17th. Also had some comments at that meeting. They were addressed. And then that vote was approved by the city. We have in our planning and zoning meeting, I don't think we discussed this last meeting. If you look at the 2 drawings there, the one on the left, all hashed in yellow, is the entire 6.43 acres. But there's a leg at the bottom of it that connects to the cul-de-sac and then subdivision to the south and east of the property. In our planning and zoning meeting, we agreed to not use that as an access point. So it would be better for the neighbors down there. We don't want truck traffic or any confusing traffic going through residential subdivision to get to a commercial site. Any way we look at it, it doesn't make sense. I think that might help them with their drainage issues that they brought to our attention. The people that live on that end of that street say they have a terrible drainage situation going on. And if that little piece could be somehow dog-legged into the overall stormwater that we're going to do, maybe that helps them. And we're looking into that as we go forward. But I think we're turning something, we hear in these prior meetings about we have things that the city needs, and or they want to bring things that the city needs. And this is one of those things that the city needs. The grocery store served by my client, Thrifty Specialty Produce and Meats, brings a lot of things that you can't find anywhere else and at great prices. And that's their claim to fame, and why after 17 years in business, they're doing what they're doing. They're bringing a second one to Palm Bay, and this would be the home of that second one. So we seek your approval for this project and the final approval of the rezoning to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions? No questions. Councilman Foster, any questions?
No, Mayor, I have no question.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Deputy Mayor, any speaker cards on this item?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
We're now going to take a 2-minute, 5-minute break. And I'll hold you to it. 5 minutes.
Attention, attention to detail. We're about to start. Dr. J, I'm going to call this meeting back to order. We are now on item number 4. Ms. Smith.
Ordinance 2023-77, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Palm Bay for changing the zoning of property from IU, Institutional Use District, to CC, Community Commercial District, which property is located at the northeast corner of Palm Bay Road and Skipper's Way, and legally described herein, providing for a change of the zoning map, providing for an effective date.
I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask the applicant to present their case.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. My name is Kim Rosenka with Lacey Lyons Rosenka in Rockledge. I'm here on behalf of 1611 Meridian LLC. With me are their representatives, Nuri Dora and William Prometta, in case you have any questions. This is when we had the PowerPoint. It is the old Holiday Inn, the old Crystal Palace at 1881 Palm Bay Road. Is going to be refurbished for
God
true
bless.
affordable housing. Phase 1 will be a renovation of 130 units studios, and phase 2 will be 170 units of 1 and 2 bedrooms. We do have the PowerPoint. I believe the mayor had the applicant commit to the facade, and we can pull it up again if you'd like to see
Yes,
it.
yes, ma'am. I enjoy seeing that.
Yes. So, yes, that one right there, the Essence at Palm Bay.
Yes.
So again, this is intended to be a true affordable housing, 80% AMI or less. And it is intended to be up and running in first phase within approximately a year, if not sooner. And so we're here to answer any questions if something came up since we were here last time. And if not, this is second reading. We've asked for your approval on second reading.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, council? Seeing none. Any speaker cards? Okay, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson or Deputy Mayor Felix, second by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion, Deputy Mayor?
I'd just like to say, Mayor, I've never been so excited about a project because in terms of affordable housing, this is a discussion we've had for the last, I'd say, 3 years, being such a big challenge. We've seen not only at the local level, this is a national challenge that most municipality and states trying to figure out. In fact, we have the new bill local, the state level. So there's effort that the state are putting forth to address this issue. So this project truly, this is a real product. That's what it looks like, affordable housing. So that's why I'm excited about this project. Again, I think back of some of the, funding we give away, part of the ARPA money. And then thinking back, I think we could have done things a bit differently. So obviously I'll be in support of this project. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. I will add, I'd love to, I think the projects that were selected, they're well and forthright. We are making an effort in that. At that time, this project, the way it is today, was not the same as what we might have seen. But I'd like to see if we can add as part of that motion that this be similar to this rendition of what we see, something similar, or maybe Dr. J can help me on how we should word it. If Madam Sherman, can I have Dr. J come back up, ma'am? Something similar, because I'm just visualizing this on Palm Bay Road today, and this would be an added such a beautification of our city.
Absolutely. So what you could potentially put on place for this zoning would be substantial conformance with the architectural renderings that have been provided.
Okay. Can we add that to our motion?
Okay, so it's not already included. All right. Wait, he needs to pull a second.
No,
He made the first.
Oh, I made this. Oh, I
Yeah,
made the
you
second.
need to pull
I'm
your
used to.
second.
I'll pull my second.
Okay.
I didn't think that was needed to be included. That's also asked Madam Smith.
Well, you already pulled your second, so now it has to be.
Yeah.
Yes, but had we already closed the public hearing?
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I did close the public hearing. Yes, ma'am. So as you were, well, I still don't have a motion though.
Well,
At this,
I second the motion. Because it's not.
how can I add that on there?
It's too.
Madam Smith, one more question to consider. This is final reading.
Yes.
So would that stand? I mean, even if we were, granting the mayor his wish, would that work?
The concern, certainly, Ms. Rosenka is there. They have agreed to it, but we are essentially adding testimony after we've closed the public hearing, which doesn't really give them an opportunity to respond to this new language that you are suggesting. They may be perfectly fine with it, but we closed the public hearing. So if we want to do it, my preference would be for us, I know everybody's withdrawn the motion, but to reopen the public hearing and allow them to at least respond before we proceed. That would be my preference and recommendation.
Okay, and procedurally, Councilman Johnson would have to remove his second. Is that correct? Or can I just open up the public hearing now? Reopen it.
You can reopen it. I think
Okay.
didn't we already have everybody removed?
All right, I remove.
Okay. All right. So motion, I'm going to reopen the public hearing. So at this time, Ms. Rosenka, you know my comments. I've made the comments at our very first public hearing, right? Very first, and I made that, and the owner was really amendable to that.
And the owner is
So-
fine with your amendment.
Okay.
We're fine with that amendment to the motion.
Okay, so procedurally, we just need to know how we're going to phrase this. Is that correct? Yeah.
I believe he says it was moved to approve with the condition that the architectural renderings provided to the city will be in substantial compliance with what's built. Something along those lines.
All right. Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence in this. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. So I need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-777 to include staff recommendation.
Second.
I got a motion by Deputy Mayor Felix, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Councilman Foster?
None at this time yet.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Thank you. Thank you. We are now on item number 5. Madam Smith.
Ordinance 2023-78, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Palm Bay by changing the zoning of property from IU, Institutional Use District, to RC, Restricted Commercial District, which property is located at the southwest corner of Malabar Road and Greenacre Drive, illegally described herein, providing for a change of the zoning map, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing, ask the applicant to present their case. Come on up, sir.
Good evening, all. Lawrence Kramer, 16498 Northeast 26th Avenue, Miami, Florida. I am the owner of the property on the corner of Malabar and Greenacre. Simple request from an IU to an RC so that we can go ahead and either develop or sell the property for the benefit of all and the community and your tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Any speaker cards, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bill Batten. 5. I'm sorry.
on item number 5? Public hearing number 5? Okay. No speaker cards? Okay, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Councilman Foster?
Aye.
4-0. Item number 6.
Thank you all.
Ordinance 2023-79, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 185, Zoning Code, Subchapters, General Provisions, and Supplementary District Regulations, and modifying provisions related to parking within residential districts, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for severability clause, providing for an effective date.
I'm going to open up the public hearing. That's Ms. Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This is final reading on the changes we're making to our parking ordinance. As we discussed with you at the last meeting, we have removed references to the trailers being parked in a different location. So for now, there will be no change to the ordinance on that topic. And we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council, any questions? No questions? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Item number 7, Ms. Smith.
Ordinance 2023-80. An ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 184, Subdivisions, by including provisions for simple lot splits, lot reconfiguration, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for severability clause, providing for an effective date.
I'm going to open up the public hearing. Madam Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This creates a new section in our code that will provide criteria for handling of lot splits and lot combinations, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, council? I'm grateful that you came up with this. Anyone wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes
Aye.
4-0. Item number 8, Madam Smith.
Ordinance 2023-81. An ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 185, Zoning Code, Subchapter, District Regulations, by including brew pubs or other drinking establishments as permitted uses in HC, Highway Commercial District zoning, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for severability clause, providing for an effective date.
I'm going to open up the public hearing. Madam Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This is final reading as well. I know the applicant is here if you have any questions. Essentially does add brew pubs and other drinking establishments as a permitted use in highway commercial. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kelly Hyvonen, Planning Consultant. We are here today to have the second reading of this text amendment to allow brew pubs in this HC district so we can move forward with a unique brew pub concept. The important thing that we want to bring up is, today someone can have an eating and drinking establishment in this zoning code, meaning they can consume alcoholic beverages. This code change will allow for the production of those beverages. How cool would it be to say this was made in Palm Bay? This is giving an opportunity for a business to be constructed and grow and produce a product that is made in Palm Bay within keeping with a lot of the other cities in Brevard County. So we ask for your approval on this tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, are you done with your comments, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to speak, sir?
No, sir. Good.
Anyone else on your team would they want to speak?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any further discussion, Councilman Johnson? Deputy Mayor? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Passes 3-1. Congratulations. Item number 9.
Ordinance 2023-82, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 178, signs, by modifying provisions related to setback requirements for interchange signs, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
I'm going to open up the public hearing, asking the applicant to present their case.
Matt Ashley, 1900 South City, Melbourne, Florida. I think, Mayor, council members, I agree with the amendment that y'all made in the first one from 1,500 to 1,000. I just wanted to address Deputy Mayor Felix. So the Highway Beautification Act, you have to be 1,000 feet. So, and state statute, so you can't be less than 1,000 feet. So that's why when I brought to staff's attention that y'all had a 500 foot, you're kind of in violation of the state statute and the Federal Highway Beautification Act. So I'm fine with 1,000 feet, and then I ask for your approval of this ordinance.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Mayor Medina. Any additional discussion? Councilman Foster?
None.
Carry on.
No, I have no comments.
Thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor?
No, I have anything to answer.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Passes 3-1. We are now on item. Did you vote, Councilman Foster?
Yes, I said aye.
Copy that. All right. Passes 3-1. We are now on item number 10. Madam Smith.
Ordinance 2023-83, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 184, subdivisions, by modifying provisions related to the construction of model homes prior to the subdivision receiving a certificate of completion, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Ms. Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This is final reading. Basically, this will create a section in our ordinance that requires a certificate of completion for a subdivision before a model home will be issued a certificate of occupancy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Item number 11, Ms. Smith.
Ordinance 2023-84, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 17, Land Development Code, Chapter 170, Construction Codes and Regulations, Subchapters, Building Code, and Fire Protection and Alarm Systems, or repealing the subchapters in their entirety, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for deletion from the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Ms. Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This item and the companion one after it are just related to removing existing ordinances out of one section of the building of the code, out of the land development portion of the code, and moving them into a separate section, so they will come directly to council when modified in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any discussion, gentlemen? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. We are now on item 12.
Ordinance 2023-85, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 9, General Regulations, by creating a new Chapter 96 to be titled Florida Building Code, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
I'm going to open up the public here and ask Ms. Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the companion ordinance. This creates the new Chapter 96 for building code. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing and asking for a motion.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. We are now on item number 13. Ms. Sherman, I'm opening up the public hearing and asking Ms. Sherman.
Thank you, Mayor. This item will be presented by Nancy Bunt, our Community and Economic Development Director.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. This is a consideration of a substantial amendment to the city's approved FY 2021, 22, and 22, 23 annual action plans for CDBG, Community Development Block Grants. And so what we're looking to do, we had some additional neighborhood stabilization program income funds from sale of homes that came into the city. And so we currently have budgeted 170,000. That included the Driscoll Heights Drainage Improvement Project, as well as we added sidewalks and streetlight installation. So we were looking at adding a total budget of $671,625.73, and then also modifying the action plan to include any installation of sidewalks and streetlights in low-income target areas throughout the city. There is a list that Public Works prioritized of the top 11. So we're currently in design engineering for Eldron Southeast from San Felipe Drive to Carson Drive, and then we'll be working on them as funding is along.
Any questions, council?
No question,
Council?
Mayor. I didn't mention it earlier, Miss Nancy, but I appreciate your and staff's ingenuity on this, especially in regards to the Northeast area. We hear it often when I'm out and about. I know the mayor hears it and the deputy mayor, and just out in the community, sometimes the Northeast area feels neglected and forgotten. So I really appreciate y'all working diligently on this, everybody. And I'm excited to vote for it. So thank you.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor?
Mayor, I would echo everything Councilman Johnson just said. You know, I've been very vocal in terms of adding those, the sidewalks and streetlights. So this is a great, initiative, getting these things moving forward, and I appreciate the work you guys put in.
Initiative and a good start, right? That's a good start. I wanted to touch a little bit on what you said about that feeling neglected, that area of our community. We should start honing in on how we could improve, the city at large too, right? But when you say that neglect, I think of the Evans Center as well, and what they're going through. So, you touched on something that I think as council we're feeling those effects from those neighbors, from those residents, and I just wanted to tag on to what you said, Ms. Nancy. Outstanding job, man.
Thank you. All funded by block grant funds,
Yes,
no
ma'am.
general fund.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Step forward, man.
Ruth Koffel, 935 W Street. So we're talking about street lamps for places in the city. Well, my street hasn't had any since it's 25 or 30 years. So, and there's not enough room on that street to put any sidewalks. Now that they've gone through and put all the electric underground and everything, that won't happen, I'm pretty sure. But we would like to have some street lamps if possible, because there's so many people running in and now running up and down the street. Which brings me to my next point of please, please, please do not add any more traffic to Malabar Road. There is already bottlenecks from Emerson Drive all the way to I-95. When that 7 Brew opened, they had a bottleneck and traffic was backed up past Emerson just this past Saturday. So if that is a result of what's not happening at that new development that was supposed to have all of these and all these other things, nothing's happening there, not one thing. So all of that is null and void. That's going to dump traffic on Malabar Road, and anything that adds traffic to Malabar Road, Malabar can't be expanded. There's no room for it. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm right there. So somebody needs to stop approving adding more traffic to Malabar Road anywhere on Malabar at all. There's not enough all the way on, it's 2-lane all the way to Route 1, and it's 2-lane just past Winn-Dixie. So there's not enough room. Stop doing that. Stop doing all of that expanding onto Malabar Road. Otherwise, you're always going to have bottlenecks. All the kids are going to be late to school too. So you're going to get the school board involved with all the late school buses that are not getting there because of it. So please, please, please do not add any more traffic to Malabar Road. Thank you.
Regarding the lights, I think the initiative is we have to start somewhere. And so this is what council has been doing. And now there's a system, and these are going to be CDBG funding. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing and asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. Any further discussion, gentlemen? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. We are now on consent. Deputy
10 and 12.
Okay, hold on.
Included in my motion.
Items 7. Copy that. 10 and 12. Okay, any other items council wishes to pull? Councilman Foster, anything?
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, carry on, Councilman or Deputy Mayor.
Like to make a motion to accept consent agenda with the exception of 7, 10, and 12.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. Ms. Smith.
Resolution 2023-25, a resolution of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Palm Bay's Section 457 Deferred Compensation Plan, administered by Mission Square Retirement, formerly known as the International City Managers Association Retirement Corporation, by including an employee optional post-tax retirement option in the form of a 457 Roth plan to the benefits offering for all eligible regular full-time employees, providing for an effective date. Ordinance 2023-90, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2022 budget by appropriating and allocating funds identified in Exhibit A, consisting of 3 pages and incorporated in its entirety herein, recognizing that such appropriations must be made pursuant to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Palm Bay, Chapter 35. Adopting, ratifying, confirming, and validating the allocations, providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We are now on consent item number 7. Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Bill Batten.
Street Southwest. I've got two items to address on this one. The first one, does anybody happen to remember what we just paid? Because it's just a couple, seems to me like just a couple of years ago when we bought the first vacuum truck, what that cost us. I understand it might not be big enough and accomplish the objectives. I understand the situation. But with that being said, we're now going to be running, as I read the packet, we're going to be running 2 vacuum trucks. Now that means double the personnel requirement also. So it's not just the annual cost of operating this vacuum truck, but then the cost of the added staff if we're running both trucks now in this function. So I'd like some clarification on that. The second item was when I was reading the packet, it had the breakdown of a 2024 F-150 for $60,000. That's an F-150 pickup truck for $60,000. You could buy 2 Rangers pickup trucks for that same price. You'd have 2 vehicles, right? And either that or you're having heated seats and everything else in this F-150, right? So just out of curiosity, the other item with that one is it did not give a breakdown of what the bid was to warrant the cost of $60,000 for an F-150 in your packet. Just a couple of questions. Maybe somebody can clear it up for me. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other speaker cards regarding this item? This is it. Madam Sherman?
Thank you, Mayor. So there was a typo in the agenda memo of the item, and it said it was a Ford F-150, but it actually is a Ford F-250, which is a much more expensive truck, and so that was our apology accurately. I do not offhand know the age of the current vac truck. I'm looking at staff to see if anybody knows right now, even a ballpark number of years, maybe 4 years it looks like. So that's that information for you.
You know?
Oh, there's Brant.
So 5 years?
Brant would know 5.
I'm getting 5 years.
Yes.
Okay.
He would be the one to know.
He's the one to know.
So listing vacant HEO 2 position that we're going to utilize for right now, and we have a staff member who is able to take on this responsibility. But we are actually currently looking at a very broad reconfiguration of staffing in the Public Works Department. We know there are a lot of needs in the city. We know there are things we need to do better with regard to maintenance, and so under Valentino's leadership, there's a lot of work that's going on right now to evaluate that and there will be things coming to council in the new fiscal year that will be requests to change the way we're doing staffing in some of these areas. This is one of them, but I will tell you that based on the demands of the city to maintain our broad and wide stormwater infrastructure, the fact that we've added baffle boxes and we continue to add baffle boxes as an example, the need for the vac truck is significant, and if we don't start to build our fleet the way we need to build it, we will be in a position where we're going to spend even more money on hiring other companies to do the work. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I appreciate you mentioned the full boxes as we partner in improving the Indian River Lagoon. What good is it if we have these baffle boxes and we can't vacuum those nutrients before they get into the Indian River Lagoon? And part of that, I really believe that we're going in the right direction in investing into our water quality and assisting with that with the Indian River Lagoon. So I'm really excited that this item is before us. I think we're moving in the right direction, and we send a message when we give staff the proper equipment to accomplish the mission. We gave the staff the mission of, hey, we're going with baffle boxes. We have to back it up with saying, here's the proper equipment. So I was gung-ho. I contemplated pulling this. So thank you, Mr. Batten, for pulling it for me as well. So I need a motion.
So move.
I'll second it. I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by the mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. We are
now on item number 10.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. Is this a complete rebuild? And if so, where was the miscalculation made in the capacity of this before you allowed the expansion of the additional housing going in?
Madam Sherman?
I'd actually have to have Chris answer the complete rebuild part of the question. I'll just let you give the quick overview.
So this is not a complete rebuild of the lift stations. There are 4 existing lift stations. The development that came in when they went through site plan review, they were put on notice that their development was going to a portion of the existing infrastructure should we have to replace it all ourselves. And all 4 of those lift stations, they're 10 years plus in age, and most of the equipment is due for replacement anyway. So it's a good project for us to get it paid for.
Thank you.
Great.
Any additional questions, council? I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. We are now on item number 12.
Mr. Bill Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. I was just curious as to what the emergency was that mandated the replacement of $29,000 worth of cameras. What happened? And if it was, just old age, well, that's not an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Sherman.
I'll give it to Juliet to handle. She looks like she's ready.
Carry on, Ms. Moscone.
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, this is going to fall under the provisions of Florida statute that makes our security system exempt from disclosure. So I cannot tell you what the emergency was. Just know that it was in a very secure area of the police department that must have cameras operational. So these cameras have actually already been purchased and they're being installed.
Thank you, ma'am. It's classified, sir. I need a motion.
Second.
I got
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Felix. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. We are now on unfinished and old business. Number 1, Ms. Sherman.
Why, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to defer to Juliet to present this item regarding our campground project next steps.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Juliet Moscone, Deputy City Manager. In April, we had a discussion about the campground at Fred Poppy Regional Park, which was brought forward initially with a $1.7 million grant from the Brevard County Tourism Development Council. The conversation was lengthy and we needed to get some additional data for you all. Most importantly, you were looking to see how much it would cost to add a second entrance to this park off of St. John's Heritage Parkway, which would require a bridge. We worked with our consultant engineer, Kimley Horn, and asked for them to provide 3 different types of bridge costs: concrete, steel, and conspan, which is considered a prefabricated bridge. And they also did 2 different configurations, all of which have 3 lanes to accommodate for future turn lanes. One configuration has the 2 pedestrian crossings actually on either side of the bridge. Another configuration has a vehicular bridge and then an adjacent separate pedestrian bridge. So a total of 6 options ranging in price from $2 million to $4 million. Staff is recommending that we go with a concrete structure. And for the purpose of this, that you budget $2.2 million for a bridge. Based on the revenue values that we have and always including a bridge. So in other words, we're not presenting to you this evening any options that do not include a bridge. We looked at a total of 3 campground configurations. One was 138 sites, which is what was originally presented to you all back in 2020. One was 82 sites, which our consultant is recommending would be your operational break even for staffing only. One is 45 sites, which is the number the consultant came up with when we gave them a budget of $3.2 million, which is how much we currently have in the project. One of the things I want to note about all the sites is all these sites would be designed as pull-through sites as opposed to back-in sites. Pull-through sites mean exactly what you imagine. When a RV or a vehicle with a pop-up camper attached to it comes through, they actually pull in to the lot as opposed to having to manipulate and back their rig into the site. It's much more appealing to campers, and according to our consultant, there's very, very few pull-through sites in Brevard County, so that would be part of our appeal as a campground. One of the things I want to note is that in all options that I'm going to show you this evening that include campsites, you will notice there is a line item for Malabar Road entrance improvements. The existing Malabar Road entrance into Fred Poppe Regional Park is original to the park. It was not designed to accommodate the gross vehicle weight of recreational vehicles or the turning radius of those vehicles. In addition, since we're actively pursuing Malabar Road widening to 4 lanes, we're increasing that budget amount to accommodate for a future proportionate fair share from the city towards signalization for the exit out of that park. You have varying funding sources for the project as it stands right now. I mentioned the grant. Back in 2020, you also approved impact fee funds into the project from both 32907 and 32908. That's Parks impact fee funds, and a transfer from undesignated fund balance. So currently, your budget is 3.2 million, to use nice round figures. We haven't expended too much from the project as it stands right now to date, just some land clearings and tree removal, under $50,000. We have a few other consultant invoices that we could back charge to the grant, but I purposely have actually used general fund dollars to pay for those thus far, because if we trip $50,000 and you decide not to move forward with the campground project, there's a clawback provision where we would have to pay that money back. So that's why I've left it at $49,000 in reimbursement and directed staff to use general fund dollars for the consultant services we've used most recently since April. I won't reiterate for you what we talked about in April in terms of how we got to this point and where we are in design, but I will say that Kimley Horn was selected for their campground experience. However, the RFQ that was used to solicit for them does include a scope provision that they can also design the bridge entrance. And they are well positioned to do that. They have ample experience. I've provided in this packet a short presentation they provided about some of their bridge experience. So they could do both the campground and the bridge design. In terms of timing, the most important thing that I want to mention is, first, at this moment in time, and this of course would be subject to change as we go into design, the consultant is recommending that we do the bridge first because it would allow us to not have to traverse through the park with heavy construction equipment, damaging the other existing interior roadways. So it would kind of mitigate that future operational and restorative impact. The other thing I want to note is that currently the grant from the county does expire, according to TDO staff, September 21st, 2024. The requirement for the grant is that we expend $1.7 million. We do not have to be complete with the campground by that date. We do have the ability to request an extension if needed, but it would require that we have to go back through the Capital Facilities Grant Committee, the TDC, and then also Brevard County Board of County Commissioners. So for the purposes of this analysis, I'm going to give you just some very high level figures. If you proceeded with just the bridge only, we would use the existing impact fee dollars we already have in the project, and we would need to add to it $1.23 million from 32907 and 32908, which we do have available. We would also return $558,000 to the general fund, and we would forfeit the grant. If you did 45 sites in a bridge, we would need to increase the project budget by $3.5 million. In order to do that, we would essentially take the current 32907 parks impact fee balance down to zero as it stands right now. I'm using July 2023 figures. That's the most recent ones that I have. And then we would need to take additional money from 32908. There would be no general fund impact, and you would have a remaining balance in 32908 of about $1 million. If you went with the 82 site option, we would need to increase the budget by over $5 million. We would use $4.4 million from 32907 and 32908. As of right now, that would take the balances of both of those impact fee accounts down to zero. That's parks impact fees. Excuse me. And we would need to utilize, approximately $700,000 from the general fund. With both the 45 site and 82 site option, I do want to be clear there will be an operational impact to the general fund in the future because we would have staffing and maintenance needs of the park. However, we do want to note that recreation is not an enterprise fund. It is not designed to be self-sufficient. It is designed to be supported by the general fund. I'm not even going to present to you the 138 site analysis. It is attached if you all are interested, but it is not financially feasible for the city, so we're not recommending it at this time. I'm available for your questions.
Council, any questions? Councilman Johnson, no. Deputy Mayor? Councilman Foster, any questions?
Yes, I have a question. On if we use the recreation impact fee from 32908 and not, would that hurt our recreation department as far as funding is concerned?
So for the option with 82 sites, as of right now, you would take both of those balances down to zero. Now, will they continue to grow as new development comes online? Yes, they will. But we would have to pace that with the development that comes into the city. For the 45 sites, you would take the balance of 32907 down to zero, and you would leave about $1 million in 32908. So in terms of hurting the department, I'm not going to say that it would necessarily hurt the department, but what it would do is it would restrict our ability to use impact fees for any additional construction activities that we want to add to our recreation facilities or add new recreational facilities within those two rational nexus.
Yeah, my concern is it seems like if we do the bridge and the site, we have less money to fund our other parks and recreation sites. Am I correct with that or not?
We would not have as much capital dollars to do capital improvement projects in both of those projects that are new additions because of growth in the city. We would still rely on the general fund and grants and other revenue sources for replacement capital improvement projects.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
That's today. but I don't have questions, but I wanted to propose something to council. We're talking about, and this is, and I'm just coming from this perspective, Councilman Johnson, because I know you were here on this dais, and things have changed. The dynamics of our community has changed. The St. John's Heritage Parkway, that dynamic has totally changed. Council, as you're aware, we are going to expand that corridor. There's future plans for that whole corridor. I'm on board with the bridge. The bridge needs to be done. I am on board. But for us to invest $4 to $5 million, and it would be 4.5, we can use those impact fees. Now, keep in mind, as growth continues, there will be additional impact fees for our community. So my thought process is as this. Let's build the bridge. Let's have additional fields, because those residents are going to bring families, and we're going to need more baseball fields. We're going to need additional football field. There is a football field there that we could enhance it with a grandstand, and we could use those impact fees for that. And then perhaps with that kind of money, we could even have a splash pad included in that regional park. So I would, the dynamics has changed so much. And I know that I was for this, but as I look at it, we have a campground, and then I look at it this way. If we have a campground, we're gonna host other folks. So that's where the complexity is, right? I like to get Palm Bay on the map, but at the same time, I'd rather build the amenities, use that money to build the amenities for the residents that we have there today, the residents that are about to grow. So I think it would be prudent of us for us to have this discussion. And not only that, but I also believe there may be an opportunity to enhance Palm Bay Regional Park with those impact fees, as opposed to this project where we're continuing to invest, and we're investing to build a campground as opposed to enhancing the quality of life within that region. We're about to grow in that region. There are homes that are already being built. There's commercial that's going to be coming. So I think this would enhance that whole area if we were to use those funds, those impact fees, to make additional amenities within our park today. And those are my thoughts, gentlemen. So I just want to hear your discussion. I'd love to get your feedback on that.
Well, Mayor, I think it'll be most appropriate if public comments first, and then.
Okay, well, I just wanted to throw it out there
Yeah.
so you guys can start thinking about
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I know where I stand. So.
Oh, okay, sir. As you were. All right, so speaker cards.
Business, yeah. Mr. Bill Batten.
I'm going to speak quick because I have a lot of information on this one. Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. Number one, why couldn't it be considered enterprise funds? Then it would be self-sustaining. The next item. One more time, I've been lied to. I asked about the cost of the campground when it was first being proposed starting in 2016. The actual quote was, no funds from general fund. This is going to be a self-sustaining identity. That was what was good about the $1.7 million initial expenditure. Now our estimated cost is over $5 million, and that is without the modifications to Malabar Road extension. Item number three, I have requested using impact fees for various projects and told they must stay in their earned zip codes. So why are you recommending using 32908 for a project in 32907? And this is pertinent because of the funds that have been generated in 32908 that incorporates the compound. And if you're trying to think of how you're going to promote this, you're going to need those funds to help promote that area, but instead we're giving it to another zip code, right? Okay. Next item, number 4, annual personnel expenses estimated between $247,000 to $428,000 annually, plus 12 hours a day security for 365 days a year. That was included in that. The only good thing I can see on that is potentially that would be an overtime funding source or a part-time funding source to help our police department get some extra dollars. That's the only positive I can see in any of this so far. Next item, on planning on the bridge. It was considering 11-foot wide road accesses. These are mobile homes. They can legally be 9 feet wide plus the mirrors. That gets a little bit tight. I don't know about you, but that gets a little bit tight when you're trying to guide into the systems. And you already said Malabar Road couldn't handle that because they couldn't make the turns or the weight. Item number 5. I have 2 recommendations. 1, give back the loan because this project got out of control. Item number 2 for your consideration, this would have been the perfect identity to have your Citizens Budget Advisory Board looking at and analyzing separate identities to work with. This would have been a perfect identity, and I made it in time. I'm surprised. If there was any questions and wanted more input, I'd try to give it. Thank you.
Thank you. You,
Butcher ran 219 Trenton Avenue. I'd just like to back up what Bill just said. Plus, I am an RVer. I have a 36-foot RV. It weighs 24,000 pounds. And he's exactly right. Malabar Road, 2 of us going east-west is not going to work. Plus, as an RVer, why would I go out there and stay in the middle of nowhere? There's nothing out there. There's no swimming pool. There's tennis courts. There's football, softball fields, all that kind of stuff. No golf course. Why would I spend my money to go out there? The other thing, I just think it's a waste of city money to do it because revenue coming in, how much are the spots going to go for? Normal price is anywhere from 25 to 50 bucks. You get to the higher markets, it can get up to 75 to 100. So I'm thinking Palm Bay would be down 35 to 50 per lot. Is it going to be full service, water, sewer, and electric? I think it's a bad idea for city money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speaker cards?
No, sir.
Okay. So, gentlemen, I shared my thoughts. What are your thoughts? I mean, this is open for discussion. So, Councilman Johnson, you want to lead it off?
Yes, sir. I will lead it off. We got to make a motion just to have the discussion. So my motion is to direct staff to negotiate a design task order with Kimley Horn for the bridge only.
I'll second that. Okay, so you guys know where I stand. What are your thoughts?
Yes, sir. And I wasn't trying to cut it off earlier. I just wanted to make sure procedurally. But and I'll mention his name. Thomas Gahn was my opponent back in 2018, and this is one thing me and him disagreed on at that time. I was a big proponent for the campground, and I loved it. I would talk about it to everybody I came across. This is coming, and you know, I'm a grown man. I'm willing to admit when my ideology changes, and I feel like that's what's the case. I have to go with what's in front of me. When you look at this stuff, I play in the stock market. As soon as I'm starting to lose too much, you got to cut. As soon as it goes past 20%, I'm out. And that's why I see right here, just being honest, and that's why I see right here. So while realistically, I still would love for this to happen, I just can't see it happening, Mayor. So it's frustrating because